Look. The question is, if it is your related to, let us say, if you are from, the question is asked from engineering background. Now, engineering background is an engineering science. In science, the question is asked related to the science, then you cannot guess. You have to be clear about it. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Matter is over. You cannot try to go around about it, because people at the board are smarter than you are. They have seen life much more than you are. You are at the threshold of life. They have seen life. They are at the other spectrum of life. So you cannot ruin them. Understand? If it in natural science, that is your physics, chemistry, engineering, all these areas, you have to. The question is asked. You know the answer. You respond the answer. If you don't, I'm afraid, sir. I'm afraid I don't recall the answer. I may not be able to. Be honest. Be honest. About other areas, from politics, from international relations, from national security, from all these areas, law, legal areas, there are areas where these are not social science related. There you can hazard, but you can say that I don't think I am fully aware, but it appears that perhaps this could be, but I am not sure. So instead of just drawing it back, you can try. You can try and say, but you are putting in a way, not trying to be a smart and convince this is the answer. No, do not try that. Because remember, the people in the board, they are smarter than you either, because the sheer fact that they have lived life more than at least twice of your age. Okay? So, be honest. Be honest. Honesty is important. Next. Yes.
So firstly, thank you for the general tips given. So my question is, if I have to give an opinion on something, if the board has asked me an opinion on something, and the stances of, say, the central government and the Supreme Court differ, or the central government or the state differ. So suppose I'm coming from, I'm from Andhra Pradesh. So if the stances of my state differ from the opinion or the stance of, say, the central government, and if my opinion is asked in this scenario, how do I respond? Which position should I take, and what would be an appropriate position expected out of me?
Now, the question is for the benefit of everyone. The question is, if I have understood you correctly, that if there is a difference of opinion between the central government and the state government, and if or a difference of opinion as it appears between Supreme Court and the government, and if court asks me what should I, my response would be good. If it is between the central government and the state government, you should not have any doubt, central government, because you are being chosen for the central government. Civil servant of the union government, not of the state government. So you should not have any confusion about it. You may be from Andhra Pradesh, you may think what Andhra Pradesh is doing is right, but government of India policy you have to look. There are two things. One is a government policy, and second is some statement given by some politicians, maybe even some minister. A statement doesn't become a policy unless it is a prime minister who says. Prime minister has said, he doesn't say loose things. But a minister, after all, is a human being. In some context, he will or she might have said something. That could be her opinion. You are free to agree, disagree. That's not a point, unless it is prime minister. But if it is a matter of policy, there should not be any confusion. If there is a difference between the central government and the state government, you are there to stand by the central government, right? Second is about Supreme Court and the government. First of all, in such a question, first of all, if it is a Supreme Court judgment, it is a final. There should not be any confusion about it. Because if Supreme Court comes with a judgment, that is the final. This is what Supreme Court has held, and we are all bound to respect that. Whether it is a central government, a state government, anyone. But the Chief Justice of Supreme Court has made some observation. Delay in judicial appointment. Suppose nowadays you read in the newspaper delay in judicial appointment, and Supreme Court Chief Justice has expressed concern over delay in decision. Now your response would be, sir, I'm sure the government would be keen on clearing. There must be something which I am not privy to, because after all there is a process. There must be a process by which the president appoints. So the government, they have to do their own due diligence, and I do not know what exactly it is. I am afraid I am not able to say. So why you have expressed that you said that okay, you are not criticizing Supreme Court, you are not criticizing government authority also. You only say, suppose if such a question is asked, then look, but there is a delay, and Collegium has taken a decision, and the government is sitting over here, and this is not good. Your answer response will be, sir, as far as we know that government has a view that, and which the law, the honorable law minister, whenever he said minister or chancellor should use the honorable word. Honorable law minister has stated about National Judicial Appointment Commission. But so on which there is a difference of opinion between the Honorable Supreme Court and the government. Now, as far as the delay is concerned, I'm sure there must be some reason, because the government might have would have to do the due diligence. There could be some procedural delay. That's all. You have neither to just say that no, Supreme Court is right, because the government has taken a view that this is not correct. Judges appointing judges is not a good thing. But you don't have to say no, the court is wrong. You simply say that government has a view. Government has a view that the present system of appointment, judges is not good. However, existing law of the land is, or the procedure is, that the judges collegium makes recommendation. Government has to do the due processing, and there would be a procedural delay. I am afraid I don't know what would be the reason. That's all. Yes. Next. Then you will okay.
So my question is, if a particular question is asked, do we supposed to give very simple and plain answer, or do we attach some recommendation or some report in order to embellish it and look it more qualitative? Does it add more marks to the question? Because same questions may be asked to few candidates. So what are people expecting? Some out-of-the-box solution or what?
No, if the question is something which is based on, if the answer is based on a report of a committee or a commission. Suppose if the question is asked and about certain policy of the government, that policy is based on certain recommendation. First of all, it's a policy, you are defending the policy. But you are not defending the policy. When I say you defend the central government policy, doesn't mean no, that government is always right. Now that's not the point. When you are defending, you give the reasons. Either a committee has been set up, committee has given a report, court has accepted it. So when you give an answer, the answer should be backed by some reason. Answer should not be just a cryptic one line, yes or no. Or no sir, this policy is good. This policy is good because you know that this is the policy of the government, and government has formed the policy because of such reason. That is the question is also Ayushman Bharat policy. You say Ayushman Bharat policy, if you have the data available with you, you quote it. Yes, so many millions of people, those who are now getting benefit of amount of it, poor people, it is an access to health care. It is an instrument, it is a policy by which the poor and downtrodden people have access to quality health care. So it is good. Not that yes, Ayushman Bharat is good. You give reason, supporting reason, but not too long, you don't have to get into it. But give reason, not just simply yes or no, or maybe give reason. You have to give reasons. That what I asked you the way to your answer. The question, how you have approached the question. The approach to question, the question is asked, you have processed it, you are giving an answer. Answer has to be followed by your reasoning. That this is how this is going to say. Yeah, please.
Another one is how to balance honesty and diplomacy. Like certain questions in which they ask our opinion, but do we supposed to give an honest opinion always?
No, what is the meaning of honest opinion? Give the yeah, please. She has asked a question. Should I give an honest opinion and or what? Now, each individual is unique. You are here almost more than 60 of you. Maybe we are adding a few. Each one of us are unique in our own way. Now, what I think honest, you may not think honest. You may not think honest. What is honest? Honest moment is your understanding of a particular opinion is based on information that you have. If you get some more information, you must accept and realize that nobody has got access to full information. None of the candidate has access to full information. Let us say a question is asked on LSE. Okay, China has moved. How much do you know about it? You already read in the newspaper. What is your honest opinion on that? Your opinion cannot be your honest opinion saying that no, we do not know what happened, so we need to be investigated whether the Chinese really came or not came. No, that degree of honesty is not expected. That is not honesty actually. Because what we say honest is based on our own understanding of the situation. If the new evidence, new fact comes, our position will change. And then in that case, do we say that I was dishonest before? And now I am honest? No. All these things are tentative. At any point of time, any question that you approach the question based on your understanding at that point of time. And then you respond. And that is why you give a reason. Saying that this is what I am saying this because of this. Now, if the situation changes, if the fact changes, my response will change. So, and when somebody asks you about honest, let us say, what is your view on, let us say, Amrit Kar, will India become a self-reliant or not? If my honest view is no, it will not be. That's not your honest view. This is your prejudice, I would say. Because we are going to have to work towards that the next 25 years to make India. So honest view is no, sir, it is all a kind of a moral boosting or political slogan, sloganeering and all that. It's not that. We have to work. You don't have to be critical of the government of India policy. You don't have to be critical of Supreme Court. Opinion that you give is based on your understanding at that point of time. It must reflect that you are responding based on this reason. The new fact comes, you will change your position. You are open to that. So there is nothing called honest to make. Yes, maybe personally you may not agree with many policies of it. And these are go area. This you keep it to yourself. You don't have to wait it out. No, I have my own reason to say this. That kind of honesty will not work here. That is your personal business. Yeah.
Sir, if we ask about the performance of the government of India's policy, for example, if we take demonetization, so if we say that yes, it gave push to digital cashless economy, but largely, if I have the facts that largely the economic consequences were not that good. The MSMEs and all, 99% of the cash returned back to the system. So, if we have more points regarding the negative impact, so can we take that stand?
Yeah, now sit down. A good question. Now the question is on the demonetization. The demonetization, was it good or bad? The question is asked. Now suppose if you have an input with you that it has given a lot of setback to our economy, a smaller, medium, small enterprises, micro, they suffered a lot because it was essentially a cash driven. These are facts, right? When the question is asked whether demonetization was good or bad? And this may be asked, by the way. You should realize that such a question can be asked. Your answer should be, sir, demonetization, if you look at from the legal point of view, the Honorable Supreme Court has held it was legally valid. So there is no constitutional issue or legality involved in it. Number one. Number two is its impact. Its impact, if you can think of it, it has been a mixed one. There have been certain decline and it got some of the businesses which were cash driven, it was a setback. And some setback is expected when you make a radical shift. When you make a radical shift, there will be a setback. When you change the status quo, there will be some change, there will be some discomfort happens. But eventually it led to more and more digital economy. People started moving toward, as a result, even today, even the person on the footpath vendor uses digital transaction. So, and today India is the largest digital commerce country in the world. Now, temporary setback is inevitable in any change that happens. Now, that any change that you bring about, any radical change that you bring about, it is bound to disturb the status quo. And when the status quo is disturbed, there will be some negative aspect of it. It is given. But in the long run, yes, we have not succeeded in making a cash-free economy. Cash is there, it has come back. But the fact is that this country has become the largest in terms of digital commerce, so much so that even a footpath vendor is using digital medium for transaction. That's the end of it. Yes.
Good morning, sir. So my question is a continuation of my fellow candidate question. So there are certain issues like where Supreme Court hasn't made any decisions. For example, especially sedition, sir. Sedition, Supreme Court has shown its concern and has kept it in abeyance. But whereas the central government is strong on stance on sedition. In these cases, do we have the liberty to differ from central government, or should we support the central government in these cases?
The question is the issue on which there is a difference of position, tentatively, not finalized, but because Supreme Court has not yet declared sedition as ultra-virus to the Constitution. But on the Supreme Court has put a hold, no more case until the issue is decided. Your response would be, and this is again is a question which can be asked. It is a current living question. That sir, while Supreme Court has expressed its concern, and concern is based out of alleged misuse. You know, when you say misuse of it, how do you know whether misuse has happened or not? Because you have no access to all the cases that happened. So you use the word alleged misuse. It's alleged misuse of it, and the court is it appears, though the case is still sub judice, not finalized, because the government has given time for the government to review it. The government, given the circumstances in where we are, where we have terrorism in the country, where we have people within the country who don't hesitate in taking measures overtly and covertly to weaken the integrity of the country. The state, the need for a stringent law for the state is there. Now the balance has to be struck between the need of the state to maintain the integrity of the state and liberty. I am sure, given the fact that the Honorable Supreme Court has taken cognizance of it, and the government is thinking about it, some way out will be found out to meet the need of the state and also the need also to prevent any likely misuse of the existing law. Now that should be that's the way you should respond. Yes, next.
Sir, as you have pointed out, that the interview board is looking for a potential civil servant. But at the interview stage, with the lack of training or legal knowledge, with these humble and nascent beginnings, how is the interview board convinced of our answers? Or what part of our personality gives them rigor in our approach to, let's say, law and order or social issues, sir?
Interview board doesn't expect you to be expert. Interview board does not expect you to know everything. Interview board expects you to be, as I said, as a potential civil servant, you are intelligent enough to, first thing, you are alert about what is happening around the country, around the world. So you are aware of the development. You are not totally blank. It may happen that you may not recall that thing or everything, that's okay. But you are not completely blank on what is happening. So you are alert citizen. What is happening? Second is you are observant. That what is happening, you are reading, you are trying to understand based on whatever comes in the public domain, because your access is only to public domain. And based on that, you are approaching the question. That much is enough. No, that's what I told you, that your answer is not important. It may be important, but more important is the way you approach the question. The way you approach the question is important, because there you may not, that's what I told you, there are people who have not answered large number of questions they don't know, and still come out with the good marks, because there is a test of your personality. Personality is not just your knowledge. Personality is overall your bearing, how you deal with yourself and how you look after yourself. That means how you present yourself and how you deal with others, whether you are a pleasing personality, how do you deal with the problem, how do you approach the question, whether you are approaching the question with an open mind or opinionated mind. If you are fixated, opinionated, these are disqualified, because this shows a personality trait in you which is inconsistent with a good civil servant. If you are opinionated, fixed in your mind, that's not. You can have, when you are a civil servant, you have a passion for doing something and you work. That's a different thing. But when at this stage, when a question is asked, what the board is looking for it, how are you approaching it? What is your personality? It's not the test of your knowledge. That has been tested. Keep that in mind. So, nobody expects you to be absolutely super genius, to know everything, all knowledge. No, nobody. It's not expectation. Yes, next.
Sir, I have this question. It is asked to almost everyone in interview. Why civil services? Everyone says like dedication to public service, it is a challenging and enriching job, and it gives sense of purpose. But like, how can I differentiate it from other candidates? How can I introspect myself so that I can express my personality in this question? Or like, is this a question just asked for initiative, like just to have before beginning the interview for a formality?
So what you are saying, that the question is that why are you joining civil service? Okay. The question is that you are an engineer, you are a doctor. Well, you could have served the country as an engineer, as a doctor. Why do you want to be a civil service? Some people commit the some people they say, sir, I am committed to service to the nation. I I want to be patriotic and I want to serve. And look, I mean, don't try to give all these kind of answers at all. Be honest. Be honest. You say, sir, yes. First and foremost, you say, there are, as a civil service, in civil service, it gives you definitely much wider opportunity to do the service. You serve the country at a different scale. As a civil service gives you an opportunity to serve at a scale much larger than your profession could give you. As an engineer, you are working somewhere, you are an engineer doing great job. It's not like that. It is not less. But it comes, you may be creating some new thing, new technology, which can serve the larger humanity to a large extent, much more than any civil servant can do. But when it comes to service, civil service gives a much wider opportunity for service, number one. Number two, you will be able to influence the lives of a larger number of people by being a civil servant, by being a part of policy formulation and also delivery system. Both. You will be able to influence for the better the lives of large number of people, you can touch the lives of large number of people as a civil servant. Both ways. When you are in the field, you are delivering the service. Okay? Maybe as a district collector, maybe as a district SP, wherever you are, you will be actually delivering the service to the people, much larger. And when you are in the secretariat or the headquarters, you are a part of policy formulation, which again will touch the lives of larger number of people. So it gives opportunity to serve at a much larger scale. It gives opportunity to touch the lives of people at a much larger scale, and it also gives and adds to my prestige in my society, among my people. Don't have to be too humble enough to say, no, I am only going for service. But yes, it gives us, it is a matter of pride. It is a matter of pride to be a civil servant. It gives you prestige. Be honest. This question indirectly, when the board members are tired, then because you may not be the first candidate, everyone has to ask question. Just to make that, why do you want to be a civil servant? You are an engineer, Mr. So-and-so, why do you want to be a civil servant? This will be many times it will be a gap filler for them to relax also. But your answer to your question, the way you answer will also reflect your personality. Whether this one is just trying to be too smart, that okay, we are all, my father was a great civil servant, sir. My father, he has taught me to be in the service of the people, dedicate my life. All these nonsense don't talk. Be honest, be honest. They are smart. But yes, you must be honest in the sense that yes, civil service gives you a much larger and wider opportunity to serve the people. At a scale much more than what my profession can give. It also gives me opportunity to touch the lives of, for the better, large number of people. And it is also prestigious. Wouldn't it? Be honest. Yes. Yeah.
Sir, last year I had UPSC interview for Indian Forest Service. Sir, when I was about to enter the interview room, what I found that my legs are shaking, my voice was breaking, my heart rate increased a lot. Sir, please give us some tips how to be confident and set out nervousness.
Yeah. Actually, one thing, this is something which is not unique to him. Many candidates have this problem. That you feel you are psychologically disturbed when you are going to the first thing you are waiting, the first man comes. The waiting itself all the time it is haunting. What time this man is getting out, your palm then they start sweating, First thing is, if you are not doing, start doing that now. And even at that time when you were sitting there, you keep pranayama, deep breathing. All deep breathing. Remain properly hydrated. Water. Try to get a good night's sleep before you go. And develop an attitude that the people whom you are going to face, they are also lesser mortals. You know, there's a novel by what's that? Of human bodies, written by Foster. What's his name? I'm forgetting being a physics student, being away, and now I think I'm out of this field. Not striking. Of human bondage is a very, very famous, one of the famous work there. The writer writes in the character, there is a big judge sitting with all the pigs and all those. And he says that his lordship, while sitting in the chair, he should also keep a toilet paper on the side to remind him that you are also a human being. Now remember, the people, those who are in the board, they are elder, they are not different. You don't have to, this is something which you need to develop, you know. Now, are you developing any cold feet, leg shaking when you are talking to me?
Yes, sir. When I was about to enter the room, then like that.
How are you feeling now?
At that time, I have thought like I'm just 21 years old and they have combined experience of more than 200 years.
Now, if that's what I'm saying, that at 21 years, you have qualified for interview. In all likelihood, none of the members in the board could have qualified at the age of 21. You know, or maybe one or two might have. Otherwise, they would not have qualified. So have that confidence. Have that confidence. Pranayama, deep breathing, and convince yourself. And even when you are waiting for the interview. You are there, suppose your turn will come after half an hour or maybe an hour. At that time, while sitting, instead of letting your mind come, and don't start thinking about question and answer. Don't. Take deep breathing, have some listen music. If you are, of course, we will not allow you to carry your mobile, otherwise you could have listened to a good music. Listen to music, you know. Just relax. This is not the end of the world, okay? Suppose if you don't make it, so what? I'll try again. What do you do about it? You are not going to walk into Bay of Bengal. So, there are not many people who have done a great work. They are being very happy outside. It's not necessary. So, don't think that not getting civil service is the end of the world. No. Develop that attitude. You must realize that if you are 21 and if you are qualified, you are special. Because there are very few people who qualify at the age of 21. Understand? Yes. So have that confidence in you. Yes. Next.
Question is on choice of preference. Like UPSC asks for preference of service. We tend to give IAS as first preference, but my first preference is IPS, Indian Police Service. So whenever we choose Indian Police Service as first preference, UPSC generally asks questions on only issues in the police system. We make up our mind, we prepare on efficiency of police system, but UPSC asks only on issues in police system. So how to highlight the issues, like what issues we should highlight or how to defend our stand?
No, listen. Is there somebody new in police? No. So you are not supposed to know much about how the police works, except at your perception of it. Suppose if your first preference is police service, and if the question is asked, why Mr. So-and-so, why are you choosing police service? Now I will ask you the same question, tell me, why do you want to be a police officer? Or be honest, yes. Why? Why do you want to be a police officer?
It is my personal experience. I have seen personally the police force which is working, the change they are bringing in the society.
Yes. Now listen. Please sit down. You know, if the question is asked like this, you should be honest enough. Say, look, sir, I have seen the police officer, the kind of direct contact that they have with the people, and the kind of first response in crisis when somebody somewhere happens. Any other service other than medical is not as big responder as the police. Okay? So, as a police officer, I feel that I will be able to touch the lives of many people in distress by improving the law and order, which is a basic condition for anything else. For any society to develop, the first and foremost requirement is maintenance of law and order. If the law and order is not properly maintained, other professions cannot grow. So, as a first responder, responding to a person in distress, preventing distress to come, because as a police officer I will also be able to create an environment where crimes are not committed, where the law and order is properly maintained. And I have, sorry, it's very unusual. Normally I keep my phone in a flight mode whenever I meet. Today I just slipped out. So, you see, I love the way you can respond directly, and look at this. The people who suffer most in day-to-day life are people who are poor, who are not privileged. And as a police officer, I can be their savior. I can provide them the succor. That motivates me. And of course, add to that the charm of the reform. Don't hesitate in telling that. Charm of the reform. That also. Now, a person who is privileged, person who is well off, he may not be able to talk to somebody, he may talk to the top guys for addressing the problem. The most of the problems which police addresses are the problems which affect the ordinary folks, poor people, deprived people, and you are there, standing by them, ensuring that they don't have tears in their eyes. This is a great service, and I feel that is what I should do. Be honest. You don't have to say how the police should be reformed and all, because what do you know about police? I mean, if you start talking about police reform at a stage where you are not familiar with this, say, look, sir, once I get into the system, I will be, but there are certain things like there is a negative perception of policemen not behaving properly, but things are changing, and if I am inside, I will be able to know more about it. Because when you don't know about a thing, how can you comment on that? It will all look artificial. If you say, no sir, this is police commission so and so said that, police commission so and so said that. These will sound pedantic. Be honest. Tell it. Yes. Next. Yeah. You can speak now. Yeah. It's not about it.
Sir, in case of gender inequality or equality related issues, am I expected to take a stand or should I take a middle path?
Look, as a lady candidate, what is expected of you is to defend the interest of the ladies. No harm in taking a position that yes, because even look at Prime Minister in all the meetings, by and large, he all talks about Nari Shakti, the women empowerment. The country is the half of the population. If they do not come up and move forward, country cannot move forward. So, and today, the field is not level, is not a level playing field for women. Thanks to the recent initiative of the Prime Minister that we have things like a toilet in schools for girl children, workplaces and all those things are there. New avenues are opened. But when it comes to gender related, you must take a position that women needs to be empowered, women needs to be more aspirational and come forward, for which opportunities must be given. Now, you do not have to be, while talking about women empowerment and women, more and more women coming up, moving forward, you don't have to be unduly critical to the men. There is a difference between having a positive approach, yes, this country, if we all, Prime Minister has said in the Amrit Kaal is next quarter century. By 2047, India must be a fully developed country. Now, India cannot be a fully developed country if its women folk are behind. You cannot, no society can. And that is why the emphasis of the Prime Minister has been to provide more and more opportunities. Right from cooking gas to the ladies in the villages who don't have access, toilet in the houses, nutrition to prenatal, postnatal, all the cares for the growth. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, all these are essentially to build the nation. The nation cannot be built if the women's full potential is not harnessed. You know, today our workforce participation of women is far, far less than what it should be. We must. So you must take a position in support of women empowerment that is expected of you. But while doing so, you make out this case rather than women have been suppressing, men have been suppressing, men are male service, that part you have to ignore it. That part, even if it is there within you, you don't have to speak out. You just put on the positive side. Yes, women have to come. This country has to be great. If it has to be fully developed in the next 25 years, as Prime Minister has said, women have to come forward and their full potential must be harnessed. And greater emphasis for this, we have to create adequate environment conducive for their coming forward. Yes, you must be in support of it. Yes, next. Come. You can shout there, no issue. You can speak loud.
Sir, there are numerous long pending water issues, interstate water issues. And sir, there is Article 3 which involves central government to reorganize the states. So how to approach this question related to interstate borders?
Yes. Now, interstate border we have in our country, many states have interstate problems they have. Another question, you added that central government has Article 3. Article 3 is not for central government, it is for parliament. Now, in a question of interstate border dispute or interstate any dispute, water dispute, border dispute, there can be any number of dispute. Your response would be, sir, In our country, there are so many estates were created and during the estate reorganization, and subsequently more and more estates have been created, and out of one estate, many estates have been created. And in the process, there are some issues regarding sharing of resources. Resources can be land, resources can be water, sharing of resources. In this regard, there is an interstate council headed by the Union Home Minister. Interstate council is headed by the Home Minister. Regional councils is headed by the, we have several regional interstate councils. Regional councils of the estates of the region. Southeast has the southeast, the five states, similarly north has different northeast. So there are regional councils where the chief ministers of all the states are members and the Indian Home Minister is the chairperson. And there is an interstate council functioning at the central level. All these mechanisms are built to address the issue of interstate disputes. Many times the disputes even go to the judiciary, there is the Supreme Court also looks into it. So I think that these issues have to be resolved. Having said all that, you said, these issues have to be resolved through peaceful dialogue. Peaceful dialogue. It is, and you can also say, you can add that most of these disputes are also as a result of inadequate communication and improper appreciation of the situation. So with a mature handling and through peaceful dialogue, these issues can be resolved. And for which we have a mechanism. Mechanism are interstate councils, regional councils. There are certain tribunals which have been created by the Supreme Court over the water disputes and all between the states. So you rely on these instruments, that there are instruments, but your input will be, it should be done through peaceful dialogue. The aggressive politics by either party, it only creates problem, it does not do good to anyone. Understand? So your answer should be through peaceful means. That will be your input. The rest will be stating the fact. Yes, next.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is, suppose the board asks question on any issues, for example, issues in your district, issues in your state, or issues you have faced in police system, civil services system. So should we address those? Should we discuss those issues only, or should we provide some solutions also, so that we should appear like a solution-oriented person?
Look, solution-oriented you can give. There is no harm in it. For example, let us say you are all, by and large, except a few, you are all from Tamil Nadu, okay? A question is asked. Sit down. A question is asked about Sri Lankan refugees. A question is asked about Tamils in Sri Lanka. Question is asked about Tamil fishermen getting caught by Sri Lanka. There can be, it will be state specific. This question will be only asked, you guys will be able to, or you should be able to respond. You cannot say, sir, sorry, I don't know about it. That will not be an answer, because that shows you are not alert. These are issues which will be here. Now, your response would be, sir, these Sri Lankan people, they have refugees, those who have come, they have come under extreme distress situations. And it's a humanitarian issue. It is a humanitarian issue, and it has to be, and it should be dealt with sensitivity. With sensitivity. A large number of refugees have been living in Tamil Nadu, and basic humanitarian cares are being provided by the state government and the central government. And the central government. And it should continue. As far as their final status is concerned, I am sure the government will take a call what should be, whether they should be given urgency, not to give us urgency, what should be done. Diplomatically also, we should approach the Sri Lankan government not to create a situation by which their people are forced to leave. Nobody likes to leave one's place. So diplomatically, government of India is also, and I'm sure government of India will be doing that. Whether they are doing it or not, you are not aware, but you add to that. I'm sure government of India will be doing that. We should create situation for their safe return to their places, so that their future is secure. As far as the fishermen being caught, I think, sir, this is a very vexing problem. It has been continuing for long, and it creates a lot of issues in my state. In the families are disturbed, people are disturbed when they are caught. I think a long-term solution should be found out. Now, if you say what should be the solution, which is look, I do not have the material because it is a unique case where between the two countries, we do not have enough space to have the exclusive economic zone. There is something called exclusive economic zone up to 300 nautical miles, which is there, which is not the case. Sri Lanka is just next door. So, I mean, there is a conflict of interest. It is a sensitive issue. It has to be sensitively resolved, but there has to be a long-term solution to it. I am afraid I will not be able to give what should be there, but their solution must be found out because it creates a lot of inconvenience, suffering to our people. It also creates a lot of, it affects the sentiment of our people. So this issue must be dealt with sensitivity, and a long-term solution should be found out. So there will be issues which are state-specific. Suppose a question is asked over Jallikattu, because now I must be coming to Tamil Nadu, because Jallikattu, whether it should be there or not. Now, you know how sensitive this issue is, okay? You do not have to take side either. You have to maintain. Sir, Jallikattu, while there are people who believe that it is a cruelty to animal, and that is a way to look at it, but it has been there a traditional, a cultural issue in Tamil Nadu for several thousand years. People have been playing it. So it is also very, very sensitive, and when the Honorable Supreme Court put a ban on it, there was a massive uprising in it. Because it being a cultural issue, people felt outraged that how could it be? So I think we have to strike a balance while Jallikattu should not be stopped because it is an issue, a cultural issue. Maybe we can find ways that we make it safer and can be regulated in a way that is not cruel to the animal, safer for humans, less cruel to the animals. Can this be done? I think some ways that has to be found out. Put the answer like this. So, you are not taking about if you are animal right activist, you are going to must be banned. Now, that's not the way society works. Society does not work or does not live with strict rules and laws. If a cultural issue, forget about it. Your logic will not work. People have been performing, playing this development for thousands of years. How can we stop it just like that? So, it can be, I think the right course to be to strike a balance to see that the animals are not moved to cruelty and humans being also safe. So some kind of regulation can be thought of. That is what I feel. That should be the answer. So if Tamil Nadu related issue, something comes, if something comes to your mind, you can ask the question, I will respond. Yes.
நான் நாட்டில் 2 மாதம் ஆட்சி முறையே நம்மளுடைய ஆட்சி அப்படியே கொண்டு அதைத்தான் இன்னைக்கு மக்கள் பேசுகிறார். அந்த சூழலில் தான் இந்த கூட்டம் வளர்ந்து கொண்டிருக்கிறது. நாடகம்
issue is not with union. Issue is with its translation in a way. Suppose if there was no Ondrium structure in our society, there was no problem. But we know that Ondrium is a lower level social structure. And that is why. So union government, there is no problem. You can call it union government without any fear, without any apprehension. We all use it. I also use it, union government, in normal cases. When it becomes politically overloaded, then it becomes an issue. Then you are unnecessarily trying to, the finger it and trying to belittle it. That's not the way. Let us not be disrespectful. When you are trying to be Ondriya also, you are trying, perhaps the intention is to be disrespectful. That's not it. There's no harm. You can freely use union government, central government, government of India, whichever term you feel. Nobody will mind you. I will tell you, outside Tamil Nadu, nobody even knows it. It is an issue. It is only here it is an issue. Outside Tamil Nadu, nobody.
That was my first question, sir. When I entered, that was the question they asked.
I think there must be somebody from Tamil Nadu who must be sitting there on the board. No, but in that case, if a question is asked to you, that why is there so much sensitivity about union government, against union government there? Your answer should be, sir, sensitivity is not against union government. Sensitivity is, there are some sensitivity because of its Tamil translation made, where it is called Ondriyaism. And Ondriya is in the hierarchy. It is understood. Popular imagination, people know what is an Ondriya. And that is belittling it. That's not the. So that is how it becomes politically sensitive. Otherwise, there is nothing wrong in it. Yes.
Sir, there has been consistent clamor across our country for statehood demands. With respect to this, take us through the ground reality of Naga peace process and also the feasibility of Greater Nagaland.
What you said? The statehood demand has been. What to say again?
There has been a consistent clamor for statehood demand across the country, sir.
So many newer states.
Yes, sir. And also the bifurcation. With respect to this, take us through the ground realities of Naga peace process and also the feasibility of Greater Nagaland.
By any chance, if somebody asks, I don't know, because if somebody is running short of question, can ask the question whether there is a Greater Nagaland. Maybe wanted to test you whether you are sitting in Tamil Nadu, are you aware of what is happening? Question can be asked. First and foremost, you must be clear. A state, creation of new state, there is a provision in our constitution. New states have been created again and again based on popular demand. So there is a process by which, constitutional process by which a new state is created. As far as Greater Nagaland is concerned, Government of India has made it clear. And as far as we understand, your answer should be that Greater Nagaland demand is based on an argument that Nagas are a distinct ethnic group, they want exclusive homeland. India is a plural democracy, plural society, where people of different communities, different stocks, all have been living together. So any ethnicity-based homeland is not in the larger interest of the country, because first and foremost, there is no place which is 100% homogeneous, only one ethnic group, one community. It is a mix. It is a plural democracy. So it is not feasible, it is not desirable. That should be your answer to this. Now, if there is asked any question about Greater Nagaland, about Naga peace process, you said this peace process, as far as we understand, it is concluded. There is nothing much. I am sure government is dealing with. It's nowadays it's very peaceful. The northeast itself is very peaceful. It's a story of development. New airports being built, road highways being built, railways coming up, 5-star hotels coming up, resorts coming up. It is a story in development. So those are the old stories where there used to be violence, ethnicity, separatism. Those things have been sorted out. And thanks to all this, now Northeast is experiencing peace. Tourists are going more and more, investors are going more and more. So that's not an issue. It doesn't appear to be an issue now. Yes.
Sir, sir, my question is regarding the way of articulating an answer. There is only fine difference between being a confident and a little arrogant. And there is a possibility that different board members have different perspective about being confident. So in this case, how can I adjust my personality and how can I give a confident answer?
Look, different board members, of course, there is a possibility of different members having different assessment. It can happen. It doesn't happen often, let me tell you. Because the way you are looking at your age in life, and your age you feel that people will have, as you grow, life is the biggest teacher. As we grow in life, we learn a lot of things not out of books, out of meeting the people, out of seeing the people, people's behavior and how it is. So things are not as that they will have difference. The difference between being arrogant and being confident. You are actually tempering your answer with politeness. For example, sir, I beg to respectfully differ, or I am afraid I don't agree with it. I am afraid. The moment you say your body language, arrogance is a matter of body language. More than your spoken language, of course, but also your body language. You just be your natural self and be polite. And if by any chance if a board member takes a position which you think is going to be confrontational, by any chance, you must yield, politely yield. You don't pick up a cousin with the board member. You politely say, I think I'm afraid I don't think that I am competent enough or mature enough to argue. That's what I said. Politely, just politely yield. Don't get into. Of course, sometimes they might try to force you. So, there is the arrogance is essentially when you are opinionated. If you think of it carefully, opinion and opinionated, you will get the answer. Arrogance is, I'm right. What are you talking? No, that is not. I am responding based on what I know. If I know something more, my knowledge is finite. I know only things limited. This humility should be, once you have this humility, that what I know is not full knowledge, is not enough. That makes you humble. That there may be something which I am not aware. If I get it done. So I think that should be an issue. Arrogance is, when you are, as I said, opinionated, when you say strong-handed, no, this is wrong. No, that's not the quality of a civil servant. A civil servant should not be. Arrogant should not be. And humility is the mark. All through what is expected of you is, are you humble enough to accept another point of view? 2 plus 2 is 4, so is 3 plus 4, so is 5 minus 1. So my answer is not the only answer, there can be many other answers also. And that humility. Yes. Yes.
My question is, if the board put us in some task-based position, say if they are giving some tasks like you are being put as an interlocutor to deal with some sensitive issues, so how to approach such questions? What should be our mindset? How to put forth our ideas?
Say again.
Sir, the board put us into some task-based questions. Say if they are saying if you have been appointed as interlocutor for some sensitive issues. So how to approach this question? What should be your answer?
Right. The question is about when it's task-based. Your job will be first to understand the task. You will not be knowing the task. So your answer should be, if I am given a situation like this, first I will understand what actually the problem is. And who are the stakeholders? First, to understand the problem. Second, understand the stakeholders. Who are the people who are affected by this? Or who believe that they have a stake in it? What are the positions of different stakeholders? Because most of the situation happens because different people have, stakeholders have different positions. And then you have a problem. So you understand the task, the problem, you identify the stakeholders, and you appreciate the stakeholders' position. Now, if there are 5 stakeholders and 5 different positions, it may appear as it's a very serious problem. How do you reconcile the 5? It makes it easier for you. Because after all, many of these positions are based on a limited parochial understanding. Your task will be essentially to bring about a consensus about all that. Understand? So if a task based in a generic nature, since you mentioned about you understand the task which is given to you. You say, first I will understand the task, what it is about. Then who are? Let us say, if there is a cyclone, then you are, let us say you are a district collector or you are made in charge how to deal with that. Cyclone is coming, there is a forward. Or there can be a situation then after the situation. Either way. So, you consult the team. Who are the people who can understand? Let's say, if the cyclone is coming, the meteorological department will be one who will be giving you information. On the ground, who are the people? Okay, who are the sort of responders to it? District administration, down the line, police, medical, fire. All these people you will consult the team. Then the rescue places, where should be the rescue places, evacuation, intensity of cyclone, if the cyclone prediction is at a higher order, what has been the past record, in the past, how it has affected, and what. So evacuation, you put all these things together. The idea is that you are responding, you are thinking, you are taking stock of the whole thing. You are not just saying, sir, I will just respond dispute relief and I will go. Who are the stakeholders in a situation? Then identify those people, bring them, form the committee, form the team, and then you start addressing the issues. Understand? So, understanding the task, identifying the stakeholders, perceptions and the positions of the stakeholders, in a natural disaster, their capacity. Who can do what? Now, health can deliver the health services, but they may not have the mobility. So, providing them the transport. You have a doctor, you have a nurses, you have the compounders, but they don't have the transport. Provide them. You have to provide the support facility. Maybe rescue, fire. All these things have to be you given when answering the question, your answer will not be the final answer. But your approach to the question is that you are approaching the question in a way which you are bringing about, you are thinking and you are bringing all the people. Now this shows that this person, this candidate, he or she knows how to address the problem. If a problem comes, situation comes, how do we deal with it? How do we deal with it? What is the nature of the problem? The nature of the problem is disaster. If Suppose if there is a communal situation, let us say, some sensitive development has happened, suppose there is an allegation that cow meat has been found in a temple. It can become a communal issue. Now immediately what are you going to do it? Okay, like suppose you are in the administration, they get the police, get the community leaders, get the temple management, bring it, see that okay, let's control the media communication by social media, not the wrong information is not disseminated. You will start working. The moment your approach comes, then board gets a sense that yes, here is a candidate who is approaching the question with logic. And that will be. Finally, it's not an issue, whatever. There may be some element left here and there, that's not it. Your answer is not going to be the answer which is going to be put on the ground. Essentially, how you are approaching the question. That's it. Yes.
So, in continuation to the issues of the Northeast, there is a problem of infrastructure development. At the same time, there's also ecological imbalance and disasters that happen when infrastructure is being developed, in like the recent Uttarakhand landslide. So, how do we create the balance here?
No, I tell you, Northeast, if the question comes about Northeast, listen, you should have some clarity in your mind about, you need to update. If you are reading any material, any literature, which are 4 or 5 years old, keep it aside. Because the world has changed a lot. The region had changed, the whole entire region had changed dramatically in the last 5-6 years. You know. So, old narrative is not valid today. First and foremost, the infrastructure, the problem is there. Yes, infrastructure remains an issue, but today, there is a huge thrust on highway construction. Roads are being built at a massive scale. This being addressed. For surface connectivity. Railway lines are being extended to remote areas. So there is a huge thrust on expansion of railway line. New airports are being built. Many airports have been commissioned already. More are being built for providing air connectivity. So you have road, rail, air. Optical fibers being laid in the remote areas. So the internet connectivity. So today there is a greater thrust on infrastructure building. Yes, still there are areas in the hills where it is still deficient, but the work is going on. Now the issue is about ecological balance. That when you are building, is it consistent with ecological needs of the place, geological sensitivity of the place? In the Northeast, there has not been as yet an issue, major issue of ecological disaster, that something has been built, because landslide and all that you hear is mostly, now you are hearing in Josimat. Josimat is Uttarakhand. There have been some region, maybe the larger than the capacity of the land to bear, constructions have been made. So this is not ecologically viable. So far in the Northeast, there has not been any such case. Northeast is again a high volcanic zone. It is zone 5. So it's a very seismologically very sensitive. And any construction that happens in the Northeast region, the fact that it's seismologically very sensitive, it is always kept in mind. So in the hills, there are regulations for constructions. So ecological balance so far in North is concerned, there has not been any major issue. As and when there is an attempt, people start making noise. You have a lot of active groups, activist groups. So check and balance happens. So Northeast, that is not an issue as such so far. But yes, infrastructure is being built at a massive scale, and things are looking up. The states are competing to match the advanced states of the country. So now there is a growth and development story in the Northeast. Next. You guys are exhausted of questions or what? Then I will start asking questions.
In the last interview, there was a question that corruption greases the wheels of the administration.
Corruption?
Greases the wheels of administration.
Greases the wheels of corruption, yes.
So how should we tackle this question?
Now there is a theory in economics that corruption is not all that bad. There are some economists come up with a theory. It is established. There are papers. Though I am not an economist, but I have read some of the papers where people say that corruption is not altogether bad. Your position should be very clear. Corruption is not only an economic, it is a moral issue. It weakens the society. Society with weak morality, compromised morality, even if it grows, it will be unsustainable growth. It is not acceptable. So they may say it greases the wheel of corruption. If you say, sir, I have also read some papers. I have heard there is a view of some economists have said that corruption is not all that bad. That might be at that level. They do it experts. They come up with a lot of theories. As far as in India, it is a deep, serious moral issue. If we accept this, then we are lowering the moral threshold of the society. Now this is not acceptable. With all our efforts, it is not possible to bring zero corruption society. But that doesn't mean that we have to legitimize it with a theory. If corruption happens, and it happens despite all the measures, but we cannot give it a theoretical justification. Corruption, with all the initiative, all the efforts, we have not been able to make a zero corrupt society, and perhaps it may be an ideal society. But that does not mean that we give it a theoretical or ideological or economic legitimacy, because that will be lowering down the moral threshold of the society, which is not acceptable. That should be your position. Yes? Any?
Yeah, so the question is asked with related to Hindi language issue. As I belong to Delhi and stays in Chennai also. So how to take a stand with growing perception of anti-Hindi language sentiments in the state past about that?
This is a big for Tamil Nadu. This question can come. You can expect this question. They will ask you, what is your attitude? What is your view on Hindi? Now, my advice to you would be that your position should be that, sir, we should learn as many languages as possible. Learning more language is only helpful. In our country, we have so many languages. Tamil is a very rich and ancient and rich language, and people of Tamil Nadu are proud of it. At the same time, we believe that if we know one more Indian language, not necessarily Hindi, it can be any other Indian languages, it helps us in better connectivity, communicating with the others. So, while the government of Tamil Nadu has a two-language policy, you say yes, government of Tamil Nadu has been following a two-language policy where English and Tamil alone are taught. But I believe that learning one more language, it is only helpful. We should. I think that's not a very, because you should realize that you are going to be in the civil service of the union, of the central government, not in the state government. And there, it will be good if you take a position that it will be good if we learn one more language. And if you want to be more diplomatic, to be more pleasing to the board, you can say, since in this country, the single largest number of people are Hindi speaking, some working knowledge of Hindi is always helpful. That kind of answer you should give, so that you are not viewed as absolute rigid South, because then again you will be opinionated. Remember, if you say, no, sir, we should not. I say about imposition and all, these are political noises that happen, because even I see one question that you also must be prepared about the national education policy. You can expect questions on that. So there also there is a greater thrust on mother tongue, regional languages. There is a greater thrust on that. So we said there is a greater thrust as such on more learning more and more learning in mother language, regional language. Even the government, the Prime Minister, position has been that even the higher technical innovation like medical and engineering should also be in the regional languages, and that is very much good. But I think learning one more Indian language is helpful in communication, in reaching out, and since in this country the single largest number of people, if you go by the Indian languages, then perhaps Hindi language. If one learns Hindi, it's always helpful. So don't say that yes, Hindi must be learned. It's not. You say it's always helpful. Put it this way. Understand? Okay, yes, it's helpful that we helps anyone who knows the language, more language. First, your answer should be that we should learn one more Indian language. One more Indian language. And when it comes to Hindi, then you take a position that I think, sir, Hindi is since there are larger number of people who speak Hindi in the country, so it is helpful. Put it that way. Don't take a position that no, Hindi should not be, no, Hindi must be. Both the positions you should avoid. You should avoid. Unless you are a Hindi chauvinist and you say no, Hindi should be there, then of course it is a choice is yours. But I think it's good enough to take a balanced position that yes, we must learn one more Indian languages. It is helpful, and larger number of people speak, so knowing Hindi is always helpful. Yes. Any current affairs question, Ivan? Sir, in my interview, there was a question on. Well, you all seem to be quite experienced, right? You are already based in interview. Yes, Stephen.
So after the interview is over, they are asking to rate the board.
Rate the board.
Should we humbly reject it or?
Do they ask nowadays to rate the board? Is it so?
Sir, they also ask if we want to talk something else with them.
Huh?
If we want to talk something else with them, apart from the interview. At the end, they ask.
No, if they ask you to, suppose if they ask, because after they are everybody to ask any question, they will say, if I say night, what do you say? The choice is there. They can ask any question. If they ask you to rate, I say it's wonderful, sir. I mean, it's a privilege to such senior people. I mean, how often do we get an opportunity to see so highly placed people like you people, sir? So it's I feel fortunate to be here. And with that, when somebody says, if you like to have something more, if they ask you, that means they are pulling your leg. That's all. If they are pulling your leg, then you politely say that I am here and just to shoot. I like to, because any word of wisdom is something fun. I think this kind of question is just a smile. You don't have to respond to it. If they ask you, then would you like to, if you like to say anything, please. If such a question is asked, then they are pulling your leg. You just give a smile. I say, sir, I am here to be interviewed, sir. So you are the one who have to ask the question. Maybe one day when I get selected, your grace, I get selected, I I sit on the board, I will also ask questions. But today, simply I am here to be interviewed. You know. Yeah.
What should be our stand on Sabarimala issue?
Pardon?
What should be our stand
Stand
on
on Sabarimala issue. Look, Sabarimala issue is one, you have to have strike balance. One is a Supreme Court position. Second is a culture and tradition. Similar thing happened in Jallikattu. Jallikattu, there was a massive outrage. So the government of India came with an ordinance nullifying the Supreme Court order. In Sabarimala case, government has not done that. But nevertheless, it is a cultural issue. You say, sir? I think when it comes to the issue of culture and tradition, it is, in my understanding, it's better if it is not harmful to anyone, then it should not be interfered with as far as possible. As far as possible, it is because a right to equality, all these things are recent concept. What you know, this country or society does not live by constitution. Constitution is regulatory body. Society lives by its own norms, its own sense of right and wrong, its own tradition, its own values. If those traditions and values are being questioned on constitutional principles, if it is harmful to some, yes. Like somebody says that no, child marriage, it will be there. We know that it is harmful to the child. Child is not of an age where he or she can take a decision. Why are you forcing? No, it must be, it has to be stopped. But going to a place of worship, where for a long time people have been going, certain set of people have not been going, to say that right of equality applies and it should be allowed, I think that this is affecting the sentiment. It is those who are devotees. Those temple is a place for devotee. A devotee of Ayyappa will go by what has been the injunction. An activist will say, oh, I will go. A temple is not a place for activists. At the same time, suppose if there is a temple where suppose Dalits are not allowed. No, this is not acceptable. Because this God is not only of one caste. The God is of this deity. So this preventing Dalits entry into temple, this is not acceptable. They must be permitted. They must be. But if that tradition, people have not, and even after the Supreme Court thing, if you look at Supreme Court order came a few years back, but women have not been, certain cases women have not been going because and the devotee would like to go with devotion, not with a sense of entitlement and right. Understand? So I think your question should be a matter of tradition and culture, if so long it is not harmful to anyone, I think as far as possible it should not be disturbed. It should not be interfered with. That's all. There is something, one behind. Yes.
There's also a situation where we are seeing like Hindu temples are being controlled by the state. So what stand do we need to take in case of...
Look, if the question is asked, I suppose it can be asked. Again, it is Tamil Nadu, which is a research. The Hindu temples being controlled by the government. I think there, my advice, because you as a civil servant aspirant, you must be conscious of the fact that you should not behave like an activist. Understand? There your answer should be, sir, I think there is an act of the state legislature, validity of which has been upheld by the Supreme Court also. So it is being administered. However, there is also a demand that temple's management should not be in the hand of this. So they also have a point, and there is some agitation campaign going on to take the temple away from the government. Now I am sure in due course some way will be found out. There could be some issue of management, mismanagement, but I think so this is right now. You should not take vision of government must be out. I mean that's what you are not being an activist. Remember it, mind it. There is an act. Act has not been held unconstitutional. So the act is valid. There is a department is working. I will not like that. That doesn't mean that you have to take a position. You know what? Your position should be, I think, there is an act has got it's a constitutional valid. There is a department which looks into it. However, there are issues and cases have gone up to the High Court. High Courts have, Madras also has been pointed out so many deficiencies. I think the competent authorities should look into that. With that, we will stop it. Don't take a position, yes, temple must be liberated. You are not there temple activists, okay? You are going to civil service. Yes. I think, again.
Why are people from Tamil Nadu always protesting for everything? Delegated protest, Kodam protest, median hydrocarbon protest, and he was like, what is wrong with the people of Tamil Nadu? That was the question asked.
No, if a question, suppose, if a question like this is asked, why are people of Tamil Nadu always protesting Jallikattu, Kodam, then something will say language. What is wrong with the people of Tamil Nadu? Now we should realize that this is a question, mischievous question to provoke you. Understand? So this is again testing your personality. It's not your smartness lies in not getting provoked. I'm saying, sir, agitation has been happening all over the country, but it's now that maybe people of Tamil Nadu, they are more emotional to do it. But I think that by and large, protest agitations in Tamil Nadu has been subject to law regulations. So, as far as I am concerned, I don't see anything wrong with Tamil Nadu. With a smile, I say, I don't see anything wrong with the people of Tamil Nadu because I think, like any other part of the country, people of Tamil Nadu also enjoy certain rights, constitutional rights, and they are as much agitations. A democratic society is a part of our life. Now, a question like this, it can be a trap, it can be tricky. You should not get agitated and defensive. No, Tamil Nadu people are very law-abiding, very simple people. No, they are nothing. You politely say, just once you smile. Once you smile and say that I think agitations is a part of democratic life and everywhere it has been going on. And people of Tamil Nadu also, but I think by and large, maybe if cases of violent strikes and agitations happens all over the country. Some places by and large, agitations are within the limits of law. And I don't think anything wrong with the people of Tamil Nadu. To me, it doesn't look anything wrong. Put it this way. To me, it doesn't. Then your answer should be, sir, I don't think so, because I don't think I see anything wrong with the people of Tamil Nadu, because people of Tamil Nadu agitate like anywhere people agitate. Anywhere people. I mean, you don't have to start giving the counter that look, there are a lot of agitation, farmer agitation, gun agitation, cow agitation, all kind of agitations are going on all over the country. You don't have to get into just with a smile, because you should realize that this is a question to provoke you, to make you, to expose the real you within you. That okay, as a Tamil, you will feel bad about it. This man is saying, what is wrong with Tamil Nadu, what is this? Don't get into that trap. You just smile and smile. I don't think there's anything you see that first and foremost you should remain a smile. You don't get that Karnataka is always right and all this. Not that position is okay. Because these questions are not meant to test, these are meant to test your personality. You remember that. You don't have to get into some, these are the issues with Maharashtra, this is the issue with Kerala, this is the issue with Tamil Nadu. You start factually forming and trying to. These questions are meant essentially to provoke you and see your real self. You just smile. I said the many states I have not with other states. I'm sure sir this will be fine. There's Karnataka. I don't see anything wrong with the people of Karnataka. But problems happens in any living society. It's part of it. Politely just with a smile, play it down, not get into responding to this question with details. If you start responding with details, you are trapped. Not get. You want to ask? Yes, go.
They have asked me that they have given me a situation. I have to conduct an event. Two persons out of two persons I have to choose one. One is extremely talented, but the function will be more efficient. And the other person, the efficiency will be reduced. If the efficiency is reduced, naturally there will be a sense of discomfort with the people. So tell me a practical approach. Would you select the talented person or not talented person?
No, if a question like this is asked, whether you are there is a corrupt guy who is efficient, there is an honest guy who is inefficient. So basically, your answer should be this. Your answer should be that sir, corruption to make oneself efficient it should be the criteria. Because the person is efficient or more efficient, it also depends on leadership. If you have to choose a person, the person is expected to be under your leadership to work. Right? You can make a person efficient by proper guidance. But if a person is corrupt, then corrupt means you are compromising the basic value. So your response should be, my advice should be, that a corruption-driven efficiency is not acceptable. A less efficient person who is honest, I can make the person more efficient. It depends on the leadership, and I will try to make him more efficient. But certainly, if somebody who comes with a corrupt background and I know it fully well that this man is a corrupt, and that is why I keep him in my system, I will only encourage corruption. In corruption-driven efficiency is not acceptable.
Last question. Sir, in my first interview, BS Basi sir had asked me, in a room there are two people. One is you and another person. You are given a chance, you should shoot that person or kill yourself. What should you do?
No, sir, you just smile at that. You don't have such questions, they don't respond. I say, sir, I think we will be friends. I don't have to be under compulsion. He is my friend, he is new, we are here. There is no question of either killing myself or shooting him. An option given that you have only to shoot or shoot him or shoot yourself. You don't need to accept that. You say, no, I don't accept it, sir. We will be friends. We will be friends for life. So, no, these are essentially the questions which are essential to you. It is also depend on how better you are. You are thinking only in terms of the limitations given to you, or you also think something more. Now, tell me a question. If a question is put to you in real life, will you do that? You will not do that. Why should I? You must take it from the real life perspective. Okay? That's what anyone? No, there is a chap who will not ask question. You are asking? Oh,
Sir, how do you think India-China relations? India-China relations
that keep happening, and on the other hand, we have a huge trade deficit with them, so huge trade dependency. So what should be our point of action?
No, if the question is asked, first of all, a question will be asked, now that you guys have not asked, let me now put it. Question will be asked about, suppose India's foreign policy, suppose about some issue is asked. I am asking you, I am telling you broad, but the question will come India, China, India, Pakistan, India, Israel, India, Europe, India, Ukraine, India, and Russia. But all thing is India's foreign policy. Now, India's foreign policy is based on India's national interest and India's national values. You know, earlier there used to be principle of there's a non-alignment. We are not aligned, we are not. These were externally conceived ideas. Our foreign policy today, after this government has come, this Prime Minister has come, is our national interest, our national values. If anything that harms the national interest is not acceptable to us. If anything that serves our national interest, it is acceptable to us. And at the same time, it is our national values. National values are no constitution of India, constitution is document. National values, you have to put it succinctly. What is your national values? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We treat the world as a thing. That is why, even in the pandemic, when the rich countries, when they made the vaccine, they started pricing up the vaccine. We gave free vaccine to more than 150 countries. We had our own needs, but we shared. Because we believe in sharing and the grief of others. This is our national value. Pandemic is an example. So national interest and national values. So when it comes to China, China tries to occupy our land, no compromise. Because it is a zero tolerance to loss of territory. We don't. And that is why we see the tensions on the border and see it happens. And it will continue happening for some more years to come. Some kind of armed coexistence will be there, but we cannot avoid it, we cannot escape it. Because all these years we tried to maintain friendly relations, ignoring China's belligerence, but China, it kept encouraging Chinese. Now our policy is very even northwards. We are not. So our foreign policy is based on national interest, India's national interest and India's national value. Now that has reflected even in our Middle East relation. Earlier, our relation with Israel was subdued, our relation with Middle East was also subdued, because we were always confused whether our going close to Israel, will it be liked by our people here, our Muslim friends, brothers and sisters? Unnecessary thought. If we have wild from wild from Middle East, we have to get wild. We have got about 7 million Indian diaspora, they are living in Middle East, working in Middle East. They contribute such a large number of foreign exchange. We have interest in the Middle East. At the same time, we have interest in Israel. So we decoupled them. Our relation with the Middle East is not linked with the relation with Israel. It is India's national interest. And so we have, as a result, we have the best of relations in the Middle East today. And we have the best of relations with Israel. Before this Prime Minister, no Prime Minister visited Israel, thinking that if you go to Israel, what is the Palestine will issue until this Palestine has come, then we cannot. He said no, the two are separate. Why we respect the two-state theory that Palestine has a right to exist and there must be a separate state for Palestine, but we are close to Israel and our relation, our national interest. When it comes to US, we have relations, but we don't follow whatever everything they do. That many the US did not want us to buy oil from Russia. We say no, we will buy. It is our national interest. After all, we have to buy oil, and Russia is giving us oil at a reasonable price. Why don't we buy it? We buy it. So our foreign policy are guided by two basic pillars: our national interest and our national values. National values are Muslim. We like to treat them. You are going to be asked a question about China. China's position is clear. China has been management. Now we understand our ground. We are standing our ground. We have the country. It is not an either-or situation. While we continue to maintain an economic relation, trade relations, our bilateral trade has increased over the years. It has grown over $100 billion. But that doesn't mean that our important issue is resolved. On the issue of terrorism, China has not been helping India. China has been working against India with Pakistan. So we know we do a relationship, do business in a country based on real issues. On the issue of territorial issues, on the issue of terrorism, on the issue of our national interest, we know that China is our adversary and we deal with them. When it comes to the trade relation goes on. It's not that, okay, you are a 100% enemy or 100% friendly. There's nothing like that in international relation. In Russia-Ukraine war, many countries have thought we should take side. We say no. We say violence, war is not an answer. It must be peaceful. We told Russia, we told Ukraine. Both of them will listen. Today the world expects India to play a role. When we have to evacuate our nationals in Ukraine, we ask Russia and we stop the war. They stop the war. Give us the window. We evacuated our people. Our relation is multi-alignment. Based on our national interests and national values. Not on some hypothetical, idealistic position. We based on real situations. So this is where our foreign policy is. Now G20 is another area question. The G20 is very active. Now, you know the G20, our leadership to India has come through rotation. There is a process by which it comes. But it has been made a great opportunity to be a chair of a group of influential 20 countries is one thing, but to turn that opportunity into a movement to showcase India and to galvanize India is another. If G20 leadership, if it were before, earlier, the way we have had Commonwealth heads of missions and all this small, we have held in the past. It used to be an MEA-driven, external affair, ministry-driven affair. There will be conference, summit, come to Delhi, come to Bombay, come to Goa. Now, G20 is being held in all the states of the country. And there is a total involvement. There is a youth, women, entrepreneurs, all segments are associated. So that awareness is being created. That here is suppose even in Tamil Nadu, we have 3 venues for G20. Chennai, Mahabalipuram and Coimbatore. All the places where the events are held, you will find women entrepreneurs will also be coming on the sidelines and talking to them. They will be telling about how the women of these areas are doing, what great things are being done, good things are being done. Youth will be coming and interacting with them. How inspirational. We will showcase our strength, our art, our culture, our agriculture, our science, technology, all these things. So that when the delegates they go back to their countries, they go back with an impression of India. Because international impression of India traditionally it has not been forced. Reality is different. So now, even G20 has been made into a, what is Prime Minister calling, Jan Andolan, a mass movement. You know, every segment of the society, it is the farmers vertical, where the farmers would be meeting the G20 leaders on the sideline. Look, this is how the farmers are doing in this country, whichever location they do. So, there is a fundamental change in the way this international event is being organized in the country. It is not 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or half a dozen meetings. It is more than 220 meetings will be held all over the country, involving our people, all sections of the people, students, youth, entrepreneurs, women, art, culture, farmers, MSME, all will be coming and participating in this. Now, energizing the country, because we are expecting more than 100,000 delegates coming from all these countries. When they come, in the process, we will also get energized. When all the sections are asked that you are going to interact with G20, okay, Coimbatore, women entrepreneurs, all that they are doing, they will also get active, they will also be conscious, they will work. Similarly, other fields, they will meet them, they will come back. We will also get energized. International perception also will change about this country. When we did go about it. Because what do they know about India? They know about India, what comes in the newspaper, what comes in the media, on the television, what has been written in the books. But the books written on India are old books essentially, are not necessarily very charitable. They depict India as still as one of those third countries or all. It is not the case. Today the world looks at India with an expectation of leadership to solve the global crisis. Let us say the climate crisis. The whole country looks at India as a model. How the daring steps India has taken to free itself from the fossil fuel energy. We are moving forward. Not only that. Again, as I said, our value system. What is the motto of G20? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is the motto of one world, one earth, one family, one future. This is our value. This very crisply, succinctly represents India's foreign policy. We look at this. So you will need to be familiar with these current developments, current affairs. I wish you all you guys the very best. Keep yourself cool, collected. Take deep breath, do pranayama. Convince yourself that you are among the best in the country. You have, after a long process of screening, you have been selected. It is an opportunity, you give your best. Don't get, you will get, wet arms and cold feet. Develop that. Convince yourself. And remember that the person sitting across the table is also a lesser mortal. Is not someone who is coming from some other planet. I am sure many of you will make it, and by any chance, some of you, if you know, don't get disheartened, try. Don't let. We are not talking about getting favor today. There is no question of talking about it. Meet this board with a confidence, not arrogance. Arrogance is body language. With humility, face it. It's a test of your personality. Okay? All the best. See you. And once we will also have a felicitation ceremony on an event with those of you who have made it. We will meet once again in this environment. Let the result come. Okay, thank you very much.
Candidates can come and share their experience. the experience of this meet can share.
If you guys feel like sharing, it's fine. If you feel shy of it, there's no problem. But if you don't feel shy, but feeling shy is not a mark of everything.